Good evening, everybody. I'm going to be going through our first webinar that I will be hosting. My name is Kevin Akandana, and I will be sharing with you guys the Payout Machine. So this is how over 40 operators that we have currently have been able to start stacking their prop firm payouts to getting around $55,000 a month and working less than an hour a week. So I'll start, and we will start the process. So if you're a trader and you've been in this industry already, you've probably been able to, start the journey of prop firm trading, or you're just investing in general. I'll be going through exactly how this works. I'll be showing a bit of our receipts, so some of our operators, and then in the end, I'll actually be giving you guys a chance to get started with this as well. So before I get started, I want to say who this is for and who this isn't for. So if you've never tried prop firm trading, or you've never actually utilized a system like this might be a little bit over your head. But I don't want that to deter you guys, because if you do see that automation is the future for yourself, and you want to start making consistent returns in the market without, relying on guesswork or luck, then you are exactly who I built this system for. So I'm going to show you guys a bit about my story, my personal journey, and where it all came from, because essentially, I want you guys to understand why I built this system and why I see it as the future for not only just myself, but many other clients as well. So my name is Kevin Akandana, and before I founded 1P Algorithms, I was a cybersecurity engineer working for Accenture. I was making six figures, wearing the suit and tie, working for Fortune 500 companies and protecting their infrastructure and locking down their networks. And by most metrics, by the average metric, you would say that I pretty much figured it out and I was making, good money. But I came to realize that with the W-2, with the limited, time that I had, that I was starting to reach my ceiling. I had the money coming in, but I didn't actually have the time to enjoy it. So like every other ambitious person who, has a salary, has some income coming in, but knows that there's other pathways, I began trading on the side. So that was a picture of me back in 2018 when I first started, doing cybersecurity, and then my journey back in 2021 when I began trading, using my personal funds, taking wins, taking losses. And then I came to the conclusion that I could also start using prop firms, which pretty much allow you to leverage your money. And it was a bit of a journey. I had my wins and I had my losses as well. But it wasn't until 2022 that I actually started the development of my algorithms, which proved to be a lot more sustainable and a lot less emotional than I was. So in 2024, I founded 1P Algorithms to provide this as a service to other people in a very similar situation as myself. When I first began, like I had mentioned, it wasn't very easy. I had blew over 16 different evaluations, spent over $1,800 on just resets and trying it over and over again. And pretty much I had lost all my money. But the worst part about losing that money wasn't the fact that I lost it, but it was more of the fact that I was actually a decent trader. So I was actually getting good entries. But by the end of the day, sometimes in the middle of the day, I would begin revenge trading, trying to get my money even higher, trying to be more greedy and taking losses way more emotionally than I should have. So taking the loss and going back in and even losing more. So I came to the conclusion that it wasn't necessarily myself that was a problem, but it wasn't the system and the strategy that was a problem, but it was more so myself that was actually holding me back. So with that, I started coming to the conclusion that, I don't necessarily think that me personally being in the markets all day was the right way for me. So it's not that I wanted to stop trading entirely, but I needed to build a system that actually invoked the different things that I knew about how to be a successful trader and shook off the things that were actually holding me back, which was myself. Leveraging my 13 years of, cybersecurity and software development experience and my experience in writing code, then I started realizing that there was a system that I could start implementing to actually get things sustainable. So I started pondering and realizing that trading wasn't any different, and that if I actually started using those same systems in my trading, then I would actually become more profitable. So I spent the next 14 months actually developing these strategies. I would spend countless nights, developing using the NinjaScript platform, back testing it over weekends, and actually figuring out what it took to actually become a real algorithmic trader. I was able to develop my first set of strategies, each with their own specific use case. So Dragon was the first strategy that I developed, which was able to actually grow my accounts. But then I also realized that, just passing those evaluations can be quite pesky. So I designed a one-pass system to help me pass evaluations quickly, sometimes in as little as a day. And then I also developed my one payout strategy that allowed me to meet those pretty annoying, I would say, pretty annoying rules that, the prop firms have that require consistency over several days. They don't allow you to make too much money in a certain day, so you have to be very consistent and diligent on following those rules. So that's what allowed me to start getting consistent payouts from the prop firms. And then my first real payout. So I was able to actually make $4,400 back. I was able to withdraw them across several different accounts. And that's when I actually realized that this wasn't just a dream, but it was actually something that I could turn to reality and actually use to get systematic profits without actually spending hours behind the desk. All I had to do was just trust the system that I had created. So that is why I'm here, because I realized if it could work for me, it could probably work for you and anyone who wants to skip the 14 months of having to build their own algorithm or having to waste their time trying to pass those evaluations just to fail days after. They can use a system. So we've been able to service over 40 different operators using this exact stack to start getting consistent gains in the market and counting. Now I'm going to go over a bit about the different strategies, what makes it right in the market, and tell you about what makes our specific platform different than the ones you may have seen in the past. So my core idea is that I don't try to win every single trade. We try to, because that's really impossible to win every trade. Like anybody who's trying to sell you or provide you a strategy with a 99% win rate, it's likely unreliable at one point. Typically, those tend to blow up when it takes its first loss. So for us, we try to use a strategy that actually lets the winners run, and we let the strategy where the losers tend to be very risk mitigated through our platform. So myself, I run a portfolio of small, uncorrelated edges, uncorrelated strategies specifically, and let them compound across my different accounts. So individually, they are pretty strong, but together they're very strong. And that's where I've been able to use that specific system to get consistent gains and withdraw thousands from the prop firm market. So I designed a system behind it, or in front of it, I would say, where it became more of a framework. And it kind of goes through 4 different steps. So the first step is to deploy the actual systems, and then, use the system to trade. And once you start earning money from the prop firms, start getting your payouts, start getting your returns, then you can start compounding it and buying more accounts and deploying it again and earning more. So pretty much you don't have to start with too much to actually get started. You just need to begin and utilize the philosophies that an actual successful trader can use and show you, myself included, to actually start getting those gains. So our first principle that I've determined is actually diversification. So not just relying on one single strategy, because the market changes. Sometimes there's market regime changes. There's, different wars, different news that may come out that will invalidate certain strategies. So it's best to have a diversified portfolio that you can use that actually provides good gains whether the market's trending, whether it's choppy, whether it's breaking out, and making sure that you're using the logic and the math rather than relying specifically on your conviction or your gut instinct on how you feel like the market is actually moving that day. Next, we like to use systematic code over discipline. So again, not relying on your emotions, but relying actually on the discipline that is embedded in the strategies, utilizing the edge that we've created to actually see the profits rather than letting the profits go up on your account and then watching it go right back down and turning a green day to a red day, all because you didn't have the discipline to actually let the strategies run. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, stacking your accounts. So having multiple accounts adds to that diversification. So if you have just one account, then it almost feels like it's just a job. But if you have over 10 accounts, then you start to actually be running your own business, and you're now operating at a very high level where the diversified accounts can actually provide you consistency. Even if one of the accounts are not doing as well, maybe the other 8 accounts are actually doing very well. So you're not relying specifically on one strategy, but relying on the different ones that we have to actually start gaining more profits in the market. So next, I'm going to go through how our system actually works. Pretty much the different tactics that we use, and break that down for you guys in more of a glance. The 5 tactics that we use, like I had mentioned earlier, is diversifying through multiple strategies, also diversifying with the multiple prop firms. So again, you don't want to put all your eggs in one singular basket. You don't want to rely specifically on one prop firm, have all 10 and one of them, and for any reason they deny you for whatever reason they may come up with. You want to have a diversified portfolio, both with the strategies and with the prop firms, to ensure that you are maximizing your experience. And then you also want to use copy trading. So what that using copy trading allows you to do is use one account to lead and then the rest to follow. And that pretty much makes the process go faster and easier, because then you aren't having to set up 20 different strategies or 20 different accounts in a day. You can use the copy trader to actually have certain groups and batches of the strategy. So maybe 5 will run this specific strategy, another 5 will run a different type of strategy, and all of that is being ran through with our risk manager. So it's very important to know your risk at all times, know what that maximum drawdown is on those accounts, and making sure that you're not risking more than you're willing to on each of those accounts. That way you don't blow them, right? And then on Fridays, you want to do a weekly cadence of actually checking in, seeing, how your balances are, which accounts are ready for payout, which accounts, have a low drawdown. So you may want to change certain things up on that. And then which accounts are ready to be funded as well. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into each one of those specific tactics, specifically just different strategies that we run. So we have one pass, which is used to pass your evaluations in a day. We have one payout, which is used for consistent gains in the market, and following those rules specifically that the prop firms may have. And then Dragon and Sapphire, which are used once you actually pass that buffer and you're looking to start making even more money, and you have a bit of a buffer to actually trade with those more aggressive strategies. And then, of course, you want to use the trade copier and the risk manager to assist. Some of the different prop firms that I like to use is Lucid Trading, My Funded Futures, Tradeify, and Funded Next. So for me, I'm not specifically loyal to any of the firms. I don't necessarily promote all of them. Personally, I'm not an affiliate, but what I would like to say is that they pay out, right? You don't want to ever use a prop firm that doesn't pay out, because then all that work is for nothing. So being able to calculate which of these, the rules for each of these different prop firms is, of course, your responsibility to know what are the rules for me to pass this, what is the amount of time I have to trade on this actual prop firm so that you can get a payout. You want to make sure you have that in your weekly cadence so you know, hey, if this prop firm pays out after the 10th day, then I can take 2 payouts a month from it. If another one pays out every 5 days, then you can a little bit more, but you have to also keep in mind how much risk are you actually putting on that account so that you can also follow the rules for those specific prop firms. And having just one makes you have what I'd like to call a single point of failure. So you don't want to just have just one account. You want to diversify and have several accounts. That way, again, you're not beholden to a specific prop firm, but you're essentially using a prop farming technique to use the different diversified prop firms to your portfolio. Then breaking down the copy trader a little bit more in detail, you want to have a master account for some of these trades. So utilizing, like the copy trader lets you have, one of the accounts to actually lead the followers, and you want to group them in batches. So that just adds to the efficiency of actually running multiple accounts in your portfolio and making those gains stack up. So if you make $500 or $300 on one of the accounts and you have 5 accounts running the same strategy, then you've now made $1,500 as opposed to just the $500 that you would have made on one account. So next, you always want to, like I had mentioned before, use your risk manager. So it's one of those tools that I very much put a lot of time into, making sure that I've utilized it and that I actually abide by it. So it's a tool that, the different prop firms, they kind of prey on people who over leverage, and they prey on the people who look for huge windfall gambles. So using the risk manager is what allows you to actually set your limit on how much you want to make or lose in the day. So instead of going for, if you want to go 2 to 1, so hey, you're going to make $500 and only risk $250, then you stay in those guidelines every day, and it makes it non-negotiable so that you can live to trade another day, essentially. And that is fully customizable based on where your goals are and what you hope to achieve. And it rides on top of the strategy, so you're able to modify it as necessary. That's pretty much it. In terms of those with the different prop firms, you have, the ability to start, stacking your accounts, making consistent gains in the market, making, $2,000, $4,000, maybe $5,000 a month. Using the strategies at a high win rate percentage. So ours tends to be around 67%, and you're able to take your withdrawals on average every 8 days. So having a particular cadence of this, making sure you're monitoring them pretty much every Friday, and being able to use this as a system and essentially as a business to actually grow for yourself. And it takes less than 5 minutes a day to do. So it really opens up your time if you're working other jobs, or if you just want to travel or spend time with your family. It gives you that ability to not stay tied to the market, but actually benefit from what the market can provide for you. But of course, this was a bit about my journey, but it's not just myself who's been able to utilize these strategies. We've had many different testimonies and many different clients who's also used them to get payouts. So I'm going to show you guys some of the different clients that we've had and how their results have been playing out for them as well. So we have Marcus. He had joined, I think, last August. He was able to start trading. He got his first funded account after 9 days. He was able to generate over $4,000 using that account. Then he pretty much scaled to get more accounts and was able to clear around $8,000 in his span of actually trading with us. So now he's using the system continuously, getting payouts and staying funded. So it's a scalable system that, you want to first start with, get a few accounts, get your payouts from them, and then eventually buy more accounts so that you can continue to keep that monthly reoccurring income coming in. And the best part is that there's not a particular cap to it. So it's really dependent on your budget and how many accounts you can afford to begin with. And as you start to scale, you can always buy more. Then we also have Rachel. She's a 9-to-5 worker as well. Spends less than 60 minutes a week actually utilizing the system. She was able to withdraw $21,000 here as well. And pretty much spends around, less than 45 minutes to an hour actually each week utilizing the systems. And she, like myself, uses multiple different prop firms to diversify her income. We have David. David was able to withdraw $10,000 from the markets. He uses, I think, 4 or 5 different prop firms as well. And he was able to do it would take some of his withdrawals in less than 45 days. So we have a really good turnaround time from getting funded to actually getting paid out, and was able to avoid, those drawdown breaches because he uses the risk manager as I pretty much mentioned earlier, and make sure that, he doesn't over leverage his accounts when he is trading. So we have a few testimonies as well. We have Ifia, who's also used it. She deployed hers on actual cash. So she uses one of our strategies on her actual cash account, which is very beneficial. And then Thomas was also in the markets for quite a while before he joined us. He was trading for 3 years and was never able to get a single payout. And then after 2 months of being with us, he was able to get his first payout in around 38 days. And then Andrew as well. Andrew was a first-time trader, never traded before in his life. And he was also able to utilize the system to start taking withdrawals as well. So it's one of those systems that you don't necessarily even have to learn how to trade yourself. You just have to be able to learn how to work the system. And that includes using the strategies, staying consistent to make sure they're getting turned on, utilizing the trade copier, and then the risk manager as well. So every single one of them decided to make a specific decision and a specific day to actually change their financial trajectory. And today is the day for someone in this room to also do that. So pretty much I'm going to walk through what you're actually going to be getting, what the price costs, and pretty much our personal guarantee of how we can actually provide consistency and service for all of you as well. So I'm going to break down the offer for you, our stack, our guarantee, and how it all works. So what I've named this specific webinar and this specific system is called the Payout Machine. It's pretty much a complete license suite. You get the strategies, the risk manager, the copier, the bonuses, which are additional documents, to additional ways for you to actually become as knowledgeable and trained to use this software as possible. And you're able to start deploying them on your account in less than 24 hours. So within that strategy suite, you'll get the algorithms, you'll get the risk manager, you'll get the cross-firm trade copier. And pretty much this is how much each of them would cost individually, around $29.97 for the strategy suite, about $9.97 for the risk manager, and $2.97 for the trade copier. And then, as I was mentioning, we'll be providing some bonuses as well. So we have a onboarding process that you get where it's a 60-minute sprint setup that is a white glove installation. So all of the strategies are already provided to you on the VPS, and that is used so you can trade anywhere you want. You can trade without having, internet issues, any lag on your account. And that's pretty much hosted in, I think, the same state as the actual CME. So that gives you the cleanest and quickest trades into the market in and out. And then you also get our multi-account scaling blueprint. So it's a guide, which is pretty much a roadmap for your 30, 60, and 90 days to actually be successful. You'll have access to our community, which is lifetime access. So you'll be able to communicate with myself, a lot of our different operators, and anybody else who can provide their experience and knowledge for you to actually also be successful. You'll get our compliance playbook. So that pretty much breaks down each of the trading rules for the different platforms that I've used, and then allows you to make very informed decisions on which prop firm you actually want to choose and use for yourself. And then that also comes with the lifetime strategy updates. So anytime we provide any modifications to the strategies, any retuning, any updates, you'll also get access to those as well. So together that all is around $3,000. So all of that really sums up to around $8,000 in value that we're actually providing. But you won't be paying anywhere near that today. I've actually designed a specific offer for the members of this webinar. So today you can pay just $19.97 for access to our full suite, and that covers the whole year. Or you can pay it in 4 payments of $625. So what that allows you to do is have a full year of actually utilizing all of our platform to actually get consistent returns in the market and not feeling that overhead of actually having to continue failing your challenges, continually struggling, and actually being a part of a community and a system and infrastructure that has actually been tried and true to actually provide you the results that you need. One additional thing that I'd like to include is that we have a promise. So the promise is that we will give you, we will get you funded or refunded. So within 90 days, you will be able to get funded on your accounts. You'll be able to start operating at a high level. And if you don't achieve that goal within 90 days, then we'll give you your money back and we'll allow you keep the software. That way you can continue to use it. You'll keep community access and keep everything. So we win when you win, essentially, and we want our members to win. So we have around 50 license seats for this specific offer. So it's a very limited bunch that I would like to work with, people who are actually serious to actually utilize the software to actually make that decision today and be able to grow and scale their accounts. So in 2 years from now, you'll be one of 2 people. One who agreed with everything and still talked themselves out of it, still blowing evaluations all the way till next year and still trying to figure it out manually, or doing what many of the other members have done and pulled the trigger today, got deployed in 60 minutes, and are still using the software to actually get consistent payouts in the market. So both of these options exist, of course. You just have to decide which of them you are today. So with that, if you're interested, click the link, pretty much click the link inside the chat, where you can see how you can claim your access to the license today, and looking forward to seeing you in the community. For any live Q&A, anybody who has some questions, I'll take a look at the chat and see where you guys are with everything. And if you have any questions, I'll be willing to answer them today for you. And if you're ready to get signed up, the link is at the bottom of this slide and also in the chat room as well.
Is the link in chat to get to the offer?
I will be pasting it now, actually.
Awesome. This looks great.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions? I have some time to answer. You can either unmute yourself or you can, will the prop firm know that I'm using the algo? So certain prop firms do not allow for algorithms, but the ones that I mentioned earlier, they do allow for the algorithms. Typically, the ones that allow it, you don't have anything to worry about. I know people who've had success using the software on prop firms that claim they don't allow it. You just run the risk of typically the prop firms won't say anything until it's time to get paid out. And then they'll say, hey, we noticed this type of compliance issue, and then they'll deny your payout. So they typically will let you go through the whole process, and then they won't allow you to actually get that payout. So I would just recommend using the ones that we know give a thumbs up, and then that just makes sure you're in the clear. So no take profit trader. I mean, I've, like I said, known people who's used it on take profit. They've been able to get payouts, but Apex, yes. I don't like Apex personally. They've denied people for various reasons that are unknown to me. They're not my favorite one to recommend, but I've been able to see people who got payouts from them as well. Yeah, I don't like them personally. We do use a similar one to Apex. Their name is Bullnox. So they have evaluations starting around $21, and then you can activate them a little bit after for a bit more. I think it's around 148.
What strategies are included in the offer?
All of the strategies right now. So you'll get access to the full suite.
The premium tier, the prime tier, and the platinum tier?
That is correct. There's no monthly fees. This is a one-time offer for the full year. Other question, guys? How much do I make on each account? That is a huge discount, actually. This is our webinar special. You probably won't see this. Well, you definitely won't see this anywhere else. So yes, it is a very good discount for our specific cohort. My offer to you. And how much do I make on each account? It depends, right? So it depends on the strategy that you're using. Certain strategies make $150. Certain strategies make $700, $800. It really depends on the strategy that you're using. We have various different strategies. Typically, I recommend going through all of them and then seeing which one is actually in alignment with your risk profile. So if you're using a 50K or 100K account, you want to make sure you know how much you're risking, how much you're earning, and then obviously the win rate on those.
Then can all these be back tested in NinjaTrader?
100%. So that is actually one of the recommendations I usually tell our newest clients to do, to back test and track all of the strategies before you even run it live. Make sure you feel comfortable with the performance of them, and then of course you can start running them on your account. You have pretty much the full year to utilize them.
So this offer is for a 1 year, or is this for a
Yes,
lifetime?
it's 1 year. If you stay in during the 1 year, then it'll be the same price. If you cancel, then likely the pricing might go up.
And assume you can put in multiple contracts on each of the strategies.
Yes, each of the strategies allow you to modify how many contracts that you want to utilize them on. So, like if on one strategy it makes $150 on one contract, if you double it up, it'll make $300 on that contract. The only thing I would say is always to be careful of the drawdown as well, because the risk also will double as the contracts double as well. I did not show the back test of the information. I actually have that on our YouTube, where I pretty much show, it's a pretty much 10-minute video. I can also share that with you, but it pretty much goes through all of the different back test results that we have as of April.
Yeah, if you can show that, that'd be great.
I would drop the link in this chat.
Is that link still there? Can't see it.
Yes. So both the YouTube link for the back test is pasted in the chat, and then also the sign up link. It is a specific web page for this webinar. It is onepiagos.io/payout-machine. What is my phone number? I will paste that for you to use. Give me 1 second. We are very confident we can get you funded. Very confident that we'll be able to get you some consistent payouts. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing some of you guys sign up and joining our community. Did we have any other questions? I'm here for, I would say, another 5 minutes. If you do come up with any questions, just let me know. You are very welcome, David. All right. Does everyone have the links? Did everyone click on the different links? Because when the meeting ends, they do go away. I can also send it to you in the meeting recap. So I'll also be sending the meeting recap for this call, so you can always watch it over again. Well, All right. Well, everyone have a wonderful weekend, well, wonderful evening rather. And again, looking forward to hearing from you. If you need to reach out to me, I've also shared my phone number in the chat as well. So you're more than welcome to text me anytime if you have any questions that come up. And everyone have a great night.